This Roblox player kept waking up a little bit closer to his front door every single night. He always fell asleep in his own bed, upstairs, with his door shut and the house locked. But every morning, he woke up somewhere new, and always a few steps nearer to the way out. What was slowly pulling him toward that door in the dark is something you truly need to hear. Theo was 13, and he lived in a tall, narrow, two-story house at the end of a quiet street. His bedroom was upstairs at the far end of the hall, as far from the front door as possible. Downstairs, past the stairs in the living room, that front door led out to a dark front yard. And beyond the yard, across a stretch of long grass, stood a thick line of old, dark trees. Theo had slept in that upstairs room his whole life, and he had always slept like a stone. He was the kind of sleeper who never moved, never dreamed, and never remembered a single thing. Every night he stayed up late playing Roblox, then crashed hard the moment his head hit the pillow. That winter, though, his life had quietly become more stressful than it had ever been before. He had started a new school, he was behind on sleep, and his mind never fully switched off. He would lie awake worrying, then game until 2 in the morning, then fall into a heavy, black sleep. He did not know it yet, but exhaustion and stress are two of the most powerful triggers there are. They are the triggers for something that would soon start walking his sleeping body through the dark house. For most of that winter, Theo's nights were empty, silent, and completely forgotten by the time he woke. He would open his eyes each morning in his own bed, exactly where he had fallen asleep before. That was normal, and that was safe, and Theo never once thought about it as anything special. His parents slept in a room just down the hall, and they were light and careful sleepers. His mother always said she could hear a pin drop in that house, from 3 whole rooms away. Then, on one cold morning in the middle of January, that simple, normal thing quietly broke. That January morning, Theo woke up lying on the hard floor, right in front of his closed bedroom door. He was cold and confused, and he had absolutely no memory at all of getting out of his warm bed. He told himself he had simply rolled off the mattress in his sleep, and he tried to forget it. But 3 nights later, he woke up again, and this time he was not in his bedroom at all. He woke sitting at the very top of the staircase, staring straight down into the dark hallway below. His heart was pounding, and he still had no memory of standing up or of opening his bedroom door. Here is a real and well-studied fact that explains exactly what was happening to Theo every night. It is called sleepwalking, and it happens during the deepest stage of sleep, usually early in the night. A sleeping person can stand, walk, open doors, and move through a whole house with their eyes wide open. They are not awake, they will not remember any of it, and they are very difficult to safely wake. It is most common in young children, but stress and exhaustion can bring it back in older kids too. So Theo and his parents told themselves that this was all it was, just stress and a lack of sleep. He started leaving his lamp on all night, hoping the light would somehow keep him in his bed. He was terrified to fall asleep, which only made him more exhausted, which only made everything much worse. But that same week, something new began. Something that no simple medical fact could ever fully explain. Theo started having the same dream, the exact same dream, every single night without one change. In the dream, he was standing at one end of a long, dark hallway that he did not recognize. At the far end of that hallway, there was a single closed door, and behind it, something was waiting. And every night, in the dream, he stood one single step closer to that door than the night before. Then he would wake, somewhere in his real house, one step closer to his real front door. The two distances matched perfectly, night after night, as if the dream were quietly steering his sleeping feet. One morning, he woke at the bottom of the stairs, with his hand resting flat on the cold front door. Another morning, he woke in the hallway, facing the door, with his fingers already curled around the lock. Each night, the dream hallway grew shorter, and each night his real body traveled a little bit further. In the dream, whatever waited behind that door had begun, very softly, to call him by his own name. It did not sound frightening at all, and that gentle, patient calling was the most terrifying part of it. Because in the dream, Theo wanted to open the door, and every night he wanted to open it more. He began tying a shoelace from his ankle to his bed frame, hoping it would hold him in place. Every morning, the lace was untied, neatly, as if his sleeping hands had calmly undone it in the dark. There are real reasons a tired teenage brain can walk a body into genuine danger in the dark. Sleepwalkers have been found in their yards, down their streets, and even far from home, still fast asleep. Sleepwalking runs in families. It feeds on stress and lost sleep, and it does not care about locked doors. A sleeping mind can turn a key, slide a chain, and step outside into the cold without ever waking up. And almost every old culture has warned its people about crossing a threshold when they are called at night. The old stories all say the same thing, that you must never step through a door for a voice in the dark. Theo, fast asleep, had been walking toward that exact door, answering that exact kind of voice for weeks. His parents still had no idea how far it had gone, until the night everything finally came to a head. His mother woke at 3 a.m. to the sound of the cold night wind moving through the house. She came downstairs, and she found the front door standing wide open to the dark and empty yard. And there, halfway across the wet grass, walking slowly toward the black tree line, was her sleeping son. His mother called his name, but Theo did not stop, and he did not turn, and he did not answer her. She caught up to him, gently took his arm, and slowly, carefully guided her sleeping son back inside. He woke up the next morning in his own bed with no memory of the grass, the cold, or the trees. When his parents told him what had happened, Theo felt a fear he had never known in his whole life. That very day, his family did every single thing that the doctors tell you to do about sleepwalking. They put a loud alarm on the front door and a small bell that would ring the moment it opened. They added the chain lock up high, far out of reach of a sleeping hand fumbling in the dark. They put a gate at the top of the stairs, so he could not fall or wander down them asleep. They took him to a sleep doctor, who explained that his exhaustion and stress had triggered the whole thing. The doctor told him to cut the late-night gaming, to sleep more, and to calm his racing mind. For a while, the whole exhausted family took turns quietly guarding a door against their own sleeping boy. Here is something genuinely important, and it is true whether you believe in the dream or not at all. If someone in your home sleepwalks, you do not shame them, and you do not just hope it stops. You lock the doors, you add the alarms, and you get a real doctor, because it is truly dangerous. For one whole week, all of it worked, and the alarms stayed silent, and Theo slept through every night. He began to believe that the locks and the doctor had finally closed that hallway door for good. Then, on the 8th night, he woke standing in the freezing cold, out on the wet grass once again. The front door was shut and locked behind him, the chain was still swinging, and the alarm had never rung. And this time, he was standing at the very edge of the tree line, right where the dream door had always been. Theo stood there, awake at last, in the dark, with the black trees looming right in front of him. He did not step forward into them, and he turned around and he ran straight back to his locked house. And here is the part of this whole story that I truly need every single one of you to understand. It does not matter whether it was only a tired brain or a voice calling him out into the dark. Every single one of those explanations ends with the exact same rule that finally kept Theo alive. You do not face this kind of thing alone, and you tell the people who love you, and you get help. A locked door, a loud alarm, and a worried parent are stronger than any voice in any dream. For weeks, part of Theo had been trying to walk out to those trees, and he never even knew it. The most frightening thing was not the dream, and it was not the cold walk across the wet grass. It was that some quiet part of him had wanted to open that door, night after night after night. Fear and exhaustion feed each other in the dark, and together they can walk you somewhere truly terrible. The dark is patient, and it waits for the nights when you are simply too tired to guard yourself. The moment Theo stopped hiding it and let the people who loved him help, that pull began to lose. Over the next few months, Theo slept more, gamed less, and slowly learned to quiet his racing mind. As his exhaustion faded, the sleepwalking faded with it, and the long, dark hallway dream came less often. His family kept the alarm on the door anyway, every single night, just to be completely and totally sure. Theo started to believe that the whole terrifying winter was finally, safely, and truly behind him. Then, one night, months later, he woke gently in his bed, and he was not walking anywhere at all. He was simply lying still, staring at his bedroom window, at the dark tree line far beyond the glass. And for one long moment, some small, quiet part of him still wanted to go outside to those trees. But the alarm was armed, and his door was locked, and Theo simply closed his eyes and stayed in bed. A few days later, his father showed him a clip from the little camera above their front door. It was from weeks earlier, time-stamped at 3 in the morning, on one of the very worst nights. In the clip, Theo stood at the door, reached slowly for the lock, and then suddenly went completely still. And then, wide awake, his sleeping face changed, and he looked straight up into the camera, and he smiled. And Theo finally understood the one thing that every story about the dark had been trying to teach him. Some doors only stay shut because the people who love you refuse to let you open them alone. Have you ever woken up somewhere in your house with no memory at all of how you got there? Tell me exactly what happened down in the comments below, because I really do want to know. If you watched all the way to the end, then you already know never to face the dark alone. Subscribe so you never miss another story that keeps you and the people you love a little safer. Take care of each other out there, and I will see you again in the very next one.